From clarkwoods.com, this is Horribly Off Topic, episode number 192. I'm Chris.
I'm Steve. When is our number 4 year?
Number 4 year. I think that's when you cut your molars. No, I mean
No.
your.
Wouldn't it be episode 208?
Not like when you're 4 years old. You're saying when is the podcast 4 years old?
Yes.
I think usually it's
episode 200 would be like the normal thing to do.
Something like that, yeah. But I'm saying, like, I think the typical 4-year-old has learned how to not go in their diapers. I think they've learned to go on the potty. Probably long before that. It's been a while since I've had a 4-year-old. I have an 8-year-old now and a 12-year-old. They've had birthdays in the last 3 weeks.
I was listening to Harmontown today on the way home on the train.
All the great shows.
I was listening to that, and Steve Levy, I think he's Dan's assistant, he told a story about how they were stuck in traffic on like the George Washington Bridge.
The G-Dub.
And he needed to poo.
Oh,
and he was like 14 years old, and like his entire family was in the car in this giant van, and like his mom gave him a plastic Marshall's bag.
I don't know why that's so funny.
And it was dark out. It was nighttime, and he had to shit. He shit in the bag because they were stuck on the bridge, and so like once they were able to get off the GW bridge, he went to a KFC, and like it was just a fucking literally a shit show.
So he didn't attempt to throw the shit bag out the window. No.
I think they carried it off, and from his assessment, I think he said he got about approximately 60% of his shit, which was diarrhea shit, into the bag.
So the rest in the car is what you're saying.
Yeah. So 208 then.
208, yes, because there are 52 weeks in every year, Mr. Steve, and we do an episode every week, even if that episode comes out on Thursday or Friday of the week. We do an episode.
Or if I have 4 teeth taken out of my head,
yes,
and I go blah, 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 blah. Here's the next clip.
Yeah, we there's always an episode when it comes to hot,
right?
And yeah,
until there isn't.
Until there isn't.
We've been keeping up the streak for
192 weeks, Steve.
Right.
192 weeks. We could have had.
That's impressive. Although we did record. How
many children by this point?
What?
How many babies could the podcast have had by this point? If it's 192 weeks. Pregnancy's what, 40 weeks?
I don't know. I've never been pregnant.
That you know of.
So I've been pregnant with a food baby.
No, so I think a pregnancy's 40 weeks. I don't think you can get pregnant right after having had the
I don't think that's advisable.
I don't think it's advisable. So let's see, 192 divided by
you know what
40.
People love listening to? People do math on the air.
I mean, the math podcast is the number one show in iTunes.
Let me look it up.
As far as I'm aware, 4.8
million.
So 4.8 pregnancies. Let's just shave off the 8, right? And imagine that's the amount of time it would take for the show to get pregnant again, right? Between pregnancies. So the show could have had 4 babies by this point, assuming that we'd knock the show up like in episode 1.
Or if someone who's a big fan of the podcast and has been listening since episode 1, they could have had 3 children or four
They
children?
could have had 4. They could have had 3 and be about to have the 4th one right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking impressive.
Can you imagine the person, the couple that puts on this show every week and makes sweet, sweet love to each other, and that we could honestly say that we're responsible for their entire brood of children? I mean,
they were chilling, and so they had children.
No, they're chillins. They're children. We are responsible.
Chitlins? What are you saying?
Children. We are responsible for all 4 of their children, and then I think from there we could map out which episodes did the trick. Right? I mean,
it was probably Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker's Sopping Orifice.
didn't even listen to that one. That one had such a great title that they were like, you know what, we'll listen after. And so they listened after, and that's when they had twins, because the sperm were so excited by the sounds of your voice and my voice that they just swam up there, all of them. Got 2 eggs for the price of 1.
We know, Clark. Remember when we thought it was a good idea to maybe try to get your students to listen to the podcast and like
you thought it was a good idea. I have never thought it was a good idea, because I am afraid of my students tend to like me, right? But I'm afraid of that one student who doesn't like me, who's then going to use this as some sort of an excuse to get me fired. And I don't need that. I like my job.
I just don't understand why people like would want to do something like that.
I don't know.
There needs to be a lot of like. I need to get to a point where I'm like completely fed up with a human being to ever want them to be fired. You know. Present presidents.
You hey.
I'm just saying,
Woodbury. I'm gonna start doing that
when I bring up that shithead.
We know Steve. I can't do your last name because
it's too many syllables.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be we know Steve.
I know me too.
How well do you know you, Steve? When was the last time you, I'm going to use some air quotes here, knew yourself?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. It's been at least a week for me.
Yeah, since with that new pay site.
Yeah. No, it's a remarkably effective stimulation tool.
Well, yeah, because you're like, I'm paying for this, I better use it. That doesn't help me go to the fucking gym.
It doesn't?
No.
It never helped me go to the gym either. Well, no, I went to the gym pretty faithfully during that like year that I had a membership.
And you were like, doo, 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 doo.
Yeah. What is that?
Faithfully.
Oh, yes. I did go faithfully. Whatever happened between those guys? I was listening to somebody talk about it the other day.
What guys?
Between Steve Perry and the rest of the band. So, like, when they got inaugurated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Steve Perry got inaugurated with them. But when they played, they did not play with Steve Perry. They played with their fucking guy, the guy from Asia, not the band Asia, but from the continent of Asia, who is their current lead singer. And so somebody was saying within the last week or so that within earshot of me that there are some.
I think Steve Perry can't hit the high notes anymore.
But he left the band long before he stopped being able to hit the high notes, right? I mean, that's the impression that I get.
Ba, 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 ba. Dun, dun, dun.
You're welcome.
All right, so tomorrow, or
Yeah.
not tomorrow? Tomorrow
is...
I know the tomorrow was probably when people...
Tomorrow.
Okay,
We'll love you.
No.
Tomorrow.
Wednesday, the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
My work is having a little, like music for melanoma thing, because we make...
Oh, okay.
We make... shit, that'll give it away.
So they just are supporting skin cancer research.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're having the Dropkick Murphys,
who are not the same band as the Mighty Mighty Boss.
I know, but like that. See that time, like people like that I knew that were interested in ska.
Yeah.
Were also interested in the Bosstones.
Right. Yeah, and then later. The Murphys shipped up to Boston.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, the fucking they were people that were into ska that were also into Dropkick Murphys. That was my mistake in saying things. Yeah, so I always associate those two bands, I think the Bosstones are from Boston, aren't they?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
so they're both Boston bands. Only one of them sings about Boston constantly.
Yes, only one. But, you know, there can be only one.
Highlander?
That was the tagline in my Easter video this year. We were doing every year for
you run around and chop people's heads off with a sword.
Yes. No, every year for like the last not 10 years. Like 7 or 8 years. We've run around and shot video of the kids Easter egg hunting. And then used Apple's iMovie to piece together a trailer. So the iMovie movie trailers feature has built-in soundtracks. It basically gives you a shot list. You just slip in,
Does it use that stupid fucking sound effect that's in every movie trailer?
The what? I think that is in some of them, but I don't know if it was in this year's. At any rate...
You're just zooming in on egg. It's like...
Two of the kids, my older daughter, Kaylee, who's just turned 12, and my cousin Crystal's oldest, Dylan, who's going to turn 13 later this year.
Holy shit.
This was kind of their... Kaylee...
Their egg song is what you're saying?
Their egg swan. Yeah.
Egg swan.
Their egg swan. So my
when you
cousin,
hear typey type, that means Chris is writing that one down.
My cousin David, we were getting close to the end. I gotten all the footage I needed, but David, who likes to every year that he's been there, has liked to chime in and be part of the process if he can. He's like, wait a minute, and so he gets there's one egg left on the ground, and he gets Kaylee to line up in one direction and Dylan to line up in the other direction, and he's directing them. This is the only plotted scene of the entire thing, and he tells them that they're gonna run for the egg. Dylan's gonna get there first, but Kaylee's gonna tackle him, and both kids are kind of like, what? Neither one of them is particularly athletically inclined. I mean, they're not complete klutzes like me, but they kind of get the direction, and so then we film it, and it's hilarious, and that's the end of the video. And so when I was piecing the whole video together, they've got little templates where you can fill in the text, and I said, in the end, there can be only one. Yes.
It's usually when some fucking spaceship is flying overhead.
Yes. Speaking of spaceships, have you seen any of the commercials for Infinity War? Not the trailers have been out for a while, but now all the commercials are coming out.
Well, commercials you'd have to watch like a regular television program for.
They don't play them on Hulu or anything. They don't do movie trailers.
They haven't. Okay. I think you can seek them out, but I think it's the full trailer, not like a what is it, 30-second nugget.
Yeah, I mean, I because I pay for the Hulu with no commercials, I don't ever see anything on Hulu. But
I mean, we've been waiting forever for that fucking Claritin ad with the adorable beagle puppy.
Oh, but now I haven't found it again.
That one doesn't come back.
You should just go look on YouTube. It's probably up there.
No, I mean, we can find puppy videos pretty easily, but having something like that in between, when you're expecting something shitty in an advertisement, and then you get this adorable puppy, it's a bonus, and you're like, hey, you know what?
Aren't they supposed to know everything about us, Steve? I mean, aren't we at the point where they should know that if they want to sell something to you and Becky, that they need to put an adorable puppy in it? Your fucking Amazon things probably out there listening to you. I mean, they must hear you go, oh, when the puppy comes on. Doesn't Amazon know to send that over to Google for a few $100, and then Google sends the ad over to Hulu and says, hey, everything you want to sell these guys, puppy.
Just sit and watch television for a little bit, Chris, and then realize that almost every ad has a dog in it.
But is it
it's
cheap
not
dog?
Just no, it's usually fucking ugly ass dogs. They're like, hey, what's that fucking thing over there? It kind of looks like a dog. Let's put it in this ad.
Yeah.
People love fucking demented like
Chihuahuas.
What's his butt? The guy who directed The Fly.
Jeff Goldblum.
No, he was in it.
I don't know who did direct The Fly. Let me what's the point you're trying to make there?
It's just
Steve?
some sort of abomination of humanity or dog Manatee.
Doug Manatee. Eric Stoltz and Daphne Zuniga were in The Fly, too.
I didn't fucking want to know that.
David Cronenberg.
There we go. Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg.
Like some mess of a Cronenberg monster of a dog.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I see that. Well, maybe that's just the ads that you see, Steve.
No,
Do you ever think about that? You ever think that I don't see
No, I
ads
mean, when
with
we're
puppies?
watching regular TV, which is not very often, but when we do, almost every ad has a dog in it.
Okay.
This is an experiment for you kids out there.
Every ad I've managed to actually notice in the last few weeks, when I don't watch TV with commercials in it very often, has been an Infinity War ad, which is why I asked the question. Like the other day, I was sitting.
Is there a dog in that movie, you think?
That's a good question. I don't think there are any dogs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who are sort of canonical. They shot the fucking dog in The Incredible Hulk.
Was Underdog in the...
I don't think so.
Okay, that was just...
No. I mean, fucking maybe Shit Dog. Here's who could be in the movie.
As a
Shit
dog?
As a dog. Fucking Cosmo. The fucking dog from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Now, there's clips... like in the trailers and shit that look like they're going back to Nowhere, which is the space station that's inside the giant alien head that's floating there that they went to in the first Guardians movie.
Okay.
And if you remember, at the end of that, before we saw Howard the Duck say, "Why do you let him lick you like that?" We saw the dog licking the collector's face. Now,
there is a dog.
Maybe that dog is going to be in this fucking movie.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. That's who I'm really waiting for. Everyone's like, where's Hawkeye? Where's Ant-Man? I want to know where the fucking dog is. That's what I want to know.
Ant-Man should be in there.
He's just really tiny.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
He's just really tiny. Yeah, no. Anyway, why did I ask you about the Infinity War thing?
Because you're obsessed.
I am obsessed, but no, there was something. It was a transitional thing about something that was in the trailer having to do with what you were talking about, and I don't remember now.
I don't remember what I was talking about.
I don't remember what you were talking about either. Oh, spaceships.
Oh yeah,
spaceships. There is a trailer or like a TV commercial out there right now where. The Guardians are approaching something. You don't see what, and Star-Lord says to teenage Groot, who's playing on some sort of tablet, he says, Groot, put that thing away. I don't want to have to ask you again. And Groot says, I am Groot. And all of them go, language! It's way funnier when it's the actual movie. Is this like an ad?
Oh, it's part of the movie?
It's part of the movie.
Oh, I thought it was like this was an ad for like Groot wanted to stop at like Space Wendy's or something.
No. What do they serve at Space Wendy's, Steve?
I don't know. It's Frosties.
Do they have Shamrock Shakes at Space Friendlies?
They don't have fucking Shamrock Shakes at Wendy's.
Oh, I just said Space Friendlies. I screwed that up doubly. Oh. I can't even. Oh, there were some words. I thought I was just gonna go for a second.
You were?
I thought that was it. I thought that I had no language left. I thought I was just gonna start doing that instead of I am Groot. It was just gonna be like that.
No.
What if I just did a whole episode as Groot?
I don't want that at all.
No. I'm Groot.
Chris, I will. There are things that are near me that I could easily chuck at your face.
There are, yes. I'm trying to think which of them I would mind having chucked at my head the least.
Well, probably
you could
Chopper.
You could be like Thanos and chuck a planet at my head. Actually, I think he chucks a moon at their heads.
Okay, well, I mean,
in the trailer,
it's just a globe. It's not an actual planet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a representation of the planet Earth, but
yes, which I mean, it's a crude representation because we all know the Earth is flat, and this is.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's ever flown in an airplane or a rocket, and across the world, I mean, it doesn't make sense that things are round because what?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I mean, at a certain point when you're flying in the plane, it goes like this, and then immediately up. That's why, like when you fly to India or something like that, your plane just magically goes upside down.
It does. I mean,
but does like a loop. It's usually when you're asleep on the plane, you don't notice it.
Okay, yeah.
Like when everybody, including the pilots, are asleep on the plane.
I don't want no motherfucking sleep on my motherfucking plane. No, wait.
Snakes is what he didn't want on the plane.
I know, but maybe the sequel is about sleep. Maybe it's a Sandman crossover.
Sandman, like the
Mr. Sandman.
The Marvel villain. Sandman?
Oh no! I was thinking of Sand. That's I was thinking of Sandman, the fucking DC Comics guy.
Oh, not Sandman, the guy that's supposed to sprinkle like magic dust on your face so you can go to sleep.
Well, I think he's related
to the DC one.
The DC one, I think, is related. His real name is Dream, as I recall.
This is why I fucking hate DC Comics.
Well, this is Neil Gaiman's masterpiece.
Oh, it is?
It's the Sandman. It's the Sandman. And apparently I'm supposed to love it. I've been told many times over the years that I'm supposed to love the Sandman. But here's the thing about me. I like comic books. I like comic books a lot. I hate shitty art in comic books, and the Sandman is the epitome of shitty art. I don't care how fucking good Neil Gaiman's scripts are. I read the whole first volume, and I was just like, nope, can't do it. The art is fucking terrible. It was terrible back when it came out, which is why I never read it back then. And I had friends tell me, yo, in the interim, they've said, you got to read the Sandman, Chris. This is right up your alley.
I thought you were going to be like, you were trying to urban it up there. And yo, Chris, you got to read this Sandman.
Yo, Chris, you got to read this Sandman shit, dog.
See, like I didn't actually want you to do that.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
Why do you need to do everything that I don't want you to do?
No, so I
do you want us to make it to 208?
You've never read The Sandman?
No.
Okay, yeah, don't. I'm sure it's great. Like, I could tell writing wise that yes, it would be right up my alley. But I know I had friends over the years, especially in the early aughts, where like it seemed like comics were rebelling against the 90s and the way the 90s were all about the art. There got to be a point in the early aughts where it was all about the writing and the art sucked. And there were friends of mine who like embraced that and they loved it. I'm like, no, the fucking medium is about the two things combined. I don't go and see a movie that's shot fucking shittily, even though it has a great script. Like I don't know. A comic book is art and story combined. If you can't get both of them to be good, then fuck you.
Just like
I'm not spending $3 to $4 on your goddamn overpriced piece of shit.
Just like a regular book is words and paper combined.
Or words. Don't discriminate against audiobooks, Steve.
Right.
That's words and.
But you use the words audio.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
A book.
A book
is typically
made
of paper and has the words in it, as opposed to audio, which is what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Have you recorded your audiobook yet?
I haven't.
For Missing Mr. Wingfield?
I have not recorded my audiobook for Missing Mr. Wingfield, which, Steve, I gotta tell you a secret.
Is it on sale still?
Well, so we're recording this on Monday.
Ooh.
And on Tuesday, I am trying something out. My book has been part of it's been Amazon exclusive for the last 4 or 5 months. And when I did this, the first 3 months of that, I did it so that I could have like a 5-day period where it went on sale around Christmas time, and that didn't do anything, really. Tomorrow, it's going to be free for 1 day on Kindle.
On Kindle.
On Kindle.
So if you have a Kindle,
yes,
and you haven't already purchased the book,
you can get it for freezies. And if you have already purchased the book and you have an Amazon account at all,
you can
go get it. And that means that when you leave your review for me, even if you bought it anywhere, it's going to show up as a verified purchase
because you got it for free on.
That's right,
free
kiddos.
Day. So hopefully people will listen to this tomorrow.
Yes.
And not a week from tomorrow.
Yeah. But Yeah, no. So I have not done the audiobook. I want to do the audio for all of them. Well, at least for Wingfield and the other book of short stories that I did. The book of short stories.
Can I read one chapter?
You're gonna read one chapter of
Just
what,
somewhere.
You can read one of the letters from the teenage girl that happened. No, we don't want to do that.
No, I'll do that. I'm not putting a voice on though. I'm just going to be me.
Yeah. No. I wonder what chapter should Steve? Hey, if you've read the book, send us an email, hot@clarkwoods.com, and say which chapter Steve
should I read in the audiobook.
In
and
the
it'll be like when you're listening to Rubber Jordan books. It'll be entirely not the same, because usually when they would switch the people that were reading, it was depending on whose perspective it was from. Okay. And so if it was from the perspective of a female character, it would be the woman speaking, and from the perspective of a male character, it would be the male.
I mean, and maybe we talked about this on the show way back when, but I had very ambitious plans for the audiobook. I wanted to do...
you wanted to get voice actors involved?
I did. I wanted to do a full cast audiobook, which I think, speaking of Neil Gaiman, I think Neil Gaiman has done that on some of his... I just couldn't figure out the logistics of all of that. And then I ran out of fucking time. But this month I have to put together for my patrons. I have to put together a book of poetry. I have promised for National Poetry Month I'm going to put together a book.
Is that March or was it
April?
April's natural. It's Natural Poetry Month.
It's Natural Poetry Month.
It has to be completely natural, like from the earth.
That's right. Single source poetry.
I don't know. Does that mean like the words fall out of your mouth and
they fall out of somewhere, Steve? I'm not gonna say where. I mean, good poets, it falls out of their mouth. Bad poets like me, different orifice.
It just falls out of your dick.
Yeah,
dude, you like just like
there's probably a couple that have fallen out of my dick. I was implying that they fall out of my ass.
Oh, okay. Do you go to your? I'm gonna get dirty for a change here.
Okay.
Do you go to your pay site and then you jizz onto a piece of paper and like whatever words it kind of looks like, it would be like, that's the poem.
I haven't done that yet, but now that you mention it, I think that's a pretty good idea.
You'll make a splash.
Now, all right. I was watching this excellent video by this guy, Austin Kleon, who wrote the book Steal Like an Artist and Show Your Work. He also does these newspaper blackout poems where he takes a newspaper, he highlights, or sort of not highlights, but he draws boxes around the words he wants to use and then blacks out the rest of the newspaper article. And so he ends up with these...
I'm not bored, I'm just tired.
Art poems. And so if I took your idea, right? I took your idea of going to my pay site and jerking off, instead of onto a piece of paper...
You go onto the dictionary.
There's that too. I wouldn't even need the pay site. I could jerk off to a dictionary.
Why is the page that has the word breast sticking together?
No, what I was saying, if I got a newspaper article and I jizzed onto the newspaper article and then made a poem out of wherever there wasn't jizz, whatever words were not
really
covered.
Long poem.
Well, okay, so maybe it'd have to be a clipping. So I'd just take like one small article from like section A4 or whatever.
Yeah, maybe like from the arts section, so it'll be more arty.
Okay, yes. So take a news,
and so it'll be less likely to have current events and news.
I got an idea, Steve.
What's that?
I got an idea. I'm gonna go find one of the bad reviews of one of my acting performances from way back. Actually, they never give me bad reviews. They usually just give the play bad reviews. Not that I'm trying to like toot my own horn here.
That'll be a heck of a comeback. So you could use that one because it isn't like, inherently dirty.
But I like Egg Swan. I think I think Egg Swan is pretty good. Well, maybe Egg Swan will just be in the title. I mean, in the description. So I'd find an old bad review of something that I've been in, and I'd jerk off onto that, and then just use whatever words weren't covered in the jizz.
Yeah.
Just make a poem out of it.
We don't have to talk about this anymore, though.
You were the one that got us.
No, I'm just saying. We've driven over the corpse of this idea several times.
Several times, yeah, you know.
The good joke was had.
The good joke was, yeah, it's long past. Okay, so I just want to, since we're talking about my acting performances, I'll just throw this out there.
Mackton
Porpoises.
Mackton Porpoises.
Mackton Porpoises. I can't spell porpoises. What, you like that one?
I like that one.
No. So, I'm performing in something right now. There's one weekend.
No, you're not. You're fucking sitting in this fucking in our spare room right now.
I'm performing for this show. Well, no,
it's not a performance, Chris. We're having a conversation.
Isn't it always a bit performative? These conversations, there's a bit of performative nature.
I am just as funny in normal conversation.
Are you really?
I think so.
No, I'm in the middle of a 3-week run of the Mercy Seat up at the Players Ring in Portsmouth. And so you still got 3 chances to see it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So give the actual dates.
What are those dates? That's what the...
April 7th, 8th, and 9th?
7th, 8th, and 9th? I don't know, Steve. I think
today's the 2nd, right?
No, it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Sorry, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th. Yeah, so I got performances of that coming up. And we got a good review, Steve. I don't know if the review
was
out.
Just the one?
Yeah, no, there's only one, sometimes 2 reviewers who come to Seacoast area theatrical productions. So you're kind of guaranteed to get one by this writer, Janae McCartan, who writes for, or I think it's the Portsmouth Herald, but it gets printed in all of the Seacoast area papers. And then there's a guy who writes for a blog called Cottony Act NH. He sometimes comes, but not all the time, and never around newspapers.
So basically, you have the possibility that someone will stumble across a newspaper in 2018 and read,
or the website.
Okay,
right?
and or some guy's blog.
Yeah. But the word gets, the trouble with any sort of regional theater. I mean, it's the trouble with putting out books on your own too. It's the trouble with doing this podcast and getting it out beyond. It's all word of mouth.
Yes. And no one ever talks about this show. I don't even talk about it, and I'm fucking on it. I keep on forgetting to plug it, like when I'm like, oh yeah, like, when I'm talking to people, I forget to like. And even if I do say that I do a podcast, I often neglect to tell them the title of it.
You just got to look for Steve's podcast.
Steve.
I wonder what is the first. Okay, hold on. Let's find out. Steve's podcast.
I doubt it's my podcast or our podcast or
podcast 1, the Steve Austin Show.
No.
So that's number 1. Rick Steves podcast.
I didn't know you had a podcast too.
Yeah. So it's either going to be Stone Cold or Rick Steves.
I like Rick Steves, and Becky likes my Rick Steves impression.
Oh,
although I only like I like reading things in his voice.
Okay. So read.
No, let's save that for another time.
All right. That's what you can do. You can read a chapter of my book in Rick Steves' voice for the 200th or 208th episode.
All right. A whole chapter?
Well, we'll find a short one, or you can read like one paragraph or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Rick Steves is I follow.
Is Rick Steves? I can't remember. I know
he was a travel guide.
Oh, he's a traveling Wilbury.
No, he's a guy that goes to, most often to Europe, and he does little. He had a show on. I don't know if it's still on, but the replays are on Hulu right now. But it's it's him going to Europe. I actually bought Becky the Ireland, his guide to Ireland for our honeymoon. So she's been picking out some good places to go.
Yep. There's one place to avoid. I just remember that from my brother saying there's like one place don't go to.
Temple Bar. He said don't go to Temple Bar because it's like a tourist trap.
Yeah.
In Dublin. We're definitely going to Dingle.
Is a place called Dingle?
Yes, there's a place called Dingle.
Dingle.
It's on the Dingle Peninsula.
Okay, now if you go and you find, let's say, a raspberry bush in the town of Dingle, are you then eating a dingleberry?
Yes. And? There was a place that I went to. It was near the Space Needle in Seattle.
Yeah.
And it was called Shishka Berries. And it was like a shish kebab of berries, and it said "Home of the Dingleberry."
So what would it? I mean, what is it? I mean, yeah.
It's like a combination of shit and hair near your butthole.
taint
or butthole.
Your butthole, yeah.
Depending on how much hair you have on your butthole itself.
Right, yeah. So I mean, if your partner is into the dingleberries, then you don't necessarily want to do any waxing down there because that would deprive them of a treat.
No one wants that. Fucking, if you are out there listening right now and you want to gnaw on somebody's...
Don't be dingleberry asshole eating normative or something.
I can't believe how fucking close-minded I am.
There's got to be somebody out there. Okay, let's stop.
Yes.
Before you get to the we know Clark.
We know Clark that you love gnawing on a dingleberry or two.
I don't know that I would be an ass man if I were I'm not an ass man as a straight man. My sexual partners who have been women have had asses. I'm not particularly an ass man. So I'm just saying if I were a gay man, I don't know that I could, if I was down in that area, well, I guess I don't know what point I'm trying to make. I was about to say if I was down in that area more, but I am down in that area occasionally.
Whoa.
I'm saying I'm down in the groin area
of men.
No, of my sexual partner.
Oh, okay.
Right, which is close to the asshole. I don't know what point I'm trying to make, Steve. I'm just trying to make a point.
Okay.
If I were filleting a guy and then he had some dingleberries, I don't think I'd want to go. I personally, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near them. I'm just saying I think there might be somebody out there.
Would you try to pull them off while you're jerking his cock or whatever?
If he was into that. I mean,
I don't know about you, but I prefer to not have dingleberries in my private area.
No, I do too, Steve. I do too.
So if someone was nice enough to get rid of them for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, right, yes. You maybe you'd love them forever. Or love them long time. I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Yeah. And what?
Yes, and.
So we got two other things on the list here, Steve, with about 22 minutes to go, which would is plenty of time. But I don't know which one you want to go to first.
Let's talk about how I didn't do well at pinball this time.
Oh no.
So, for those of you that are following the saga of Steve and his pinball antics, this past season, which basically ended about a month ago, they had the finals in the end of March 31st, as a matter of fact, and I was probably a little bit rusty, B, a little nervous, and C, playing against really, really good players. It may not have been Bowen Cairns, which I was concerned about prior to
I think you mentioned him.
Yeah,
last week. Yeah.
I was concerned about him being there, but just because he's not there doesn't mean there aren't fucking amazing, amazingly great players, and everybody that I played against did fucking fantastic. We got T-shirts
That's always good.
And it's the NEPL t-shirts, and on the back it says, "It only takes one ball." Which is
it does it
which
really
is
does.
a great yeah, well not if like out of 4 games you only had one good ball.
Right. No, I was taking it in the more sexual direction. I think you just need one.
Yeah, and it's a good for prostate cancer awareness or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or ball cancer.
Ball cancer.
Or any type of male cancers, I suppose.
Yeah. You only need one ball.
Yes.
And
ask Tom Green.
Or Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
Actually, does Lance Armstrong have any balls left?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Does he have nudicles?
I don't know. That's a good question. Does let's see.
You don't need to look
at it. Hold on.
Hey
Siri, does Lance Armstrong have any balls left?
She's gonna get right on the answer in that.
Well, she might get on it. Since he has no balls left, she has no chance of getting pregnant if she gets right on it.
I don't think she didn't.
She didn't even listen to me.
Yeah,
she's so offended by the question.
She's like, "We know Clark."
So you only need one ball. That's what it says in your shirt.
Yeah, and so I did poorly on every game that I played except for the last one, which I came in 3rd instead of 4th.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, I was out in the first round. Leo came along and provided me moral support and an occasional beer.
Yeah.
To drain,
soften the blow.
Get rid of the sorrow that was in my heart from losing. And then we played some Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and I kicked his ass because his robot was broken.
Oh, well, that's not fair then, Steve. I mean, don't you want to win fair and square on an even playing field inside the squared circle? Isn't there like a wrestling metaphor there about Rock'em Sock'em?
Yeah, there's a metaphor somewhere there.
There is a metaphor somewhere there.
I'm not gonna bother finding it.
It's like a metaphor is in there somewhere,
or a simile,
like a simile. So you mentioned Leo. I think that's funny that you mentioned Leo.
Why is that funny?
Why is it funny? Because Leo sent us an email.
Oh, what?
He did. He sent us an email.
Yeah,
Steve.
he told me that he sent an email as we were going, but he didn't tell me anything about what was.
Oh, okay. Well, he had an should I read the email then, Steve?
Sure, you can read it. I mean, I've read it because you always send it to me.
Yeah. Well, so it's an email that's
titled... and just a reminder, all you kids out there that are listening, if you want to send us an email, it's hot@clarkwoods.com.
That's right, HOT@clarkwoods.com.
Right, not Clark@hotwoods.com.
No, or at Dorkwoods. I think that was the one you came up with before the show.
Before the show. Yeah, from Dorkwoods.com. It's horribly off dorks. You went after I said dorks.
Dorks. I just have a feeling that
one of these days you're gonna suck a cock.
I'm gonna suck a dork's cock. I'm gonna suck a dork.
A dork's dork.
No, I can't do that. I had a conversation. All right, so I was tweeting back and forth with this person that I know. We were talking about queer-related issues and whatever, and I think this person identified themselves as queer, and I made some remark where I was like, and maybe I closed with, and maybe I'm a little less straight than I give myself credit for, and they were intrigued, and we went back and forth on that, and like, you should explore that. And I was like, I can't explore that. I'm married. I'm in a committed relationship. And they're like, well, you only need yourself. And I didn't know exactly what that meant. But I should probably ask them about it.
Well, maybe like you could find
I could find gay porn. And
maybe.
I guess.
But I don't know. Would that feel weird for you? Like, I
don't know if it would feel weird.
No, I'm not saying for like, would you feel like were you like, because
would it feel like that was cheating in a way that looking at straight porn isn't?
Which would you think that's weird?
No, I don't think so. I think if I'm going to decide that looking at porn is cheating, then I got to consider it all porn.
Okay, so
regardless of
then jerk off to whatever your heart's delight, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, just personally,
you could buy a new site.
I could. I take care of that other side of me that wants to see cocks getting sucked by people with their cocks.
Hot cross twinks or something like that.
Now, that's not the title, but I wish it could be. Oh, I know what I'm Googling when I get home tonight. No,
You could Google it here, I suppose.
no, I use DuckDuckGo. I can DuckDuckGo that. Hot cross twinks. No. Anyway, so I was intrigued by that notion that I was like, yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. Like explore that side of yourself, but no, I'm married, and we're in a monogamous relationship.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that
not that there's anything wrong with polyamorous relationships.
Yes, but at least
my relationship is monogamous.
Yeah, but if you're going to have a polyamorous relationship, it would probably be a good idea to have a conversation with the person that you're going to be doing that with.
Yes, and Leo had an email that has the subject line "Some thoughts." Some thoughts. Hey guys, he writes. Hey guys. Okay, 2 points for this one. First, the only other thing I have seen Gates McFadden in was Taking Care of Business, a Jim Belushi movie about the Cubs winning the World Series. She starred in that with John Delancey, the guy who played Q, in a bit of a Star Trek reunion. Now, I gotta look this up, Steve. Do you have anything to say about that? Because I am looking something up here.
I'm not surprised that they weren't in a lot, but like John Delancey was in Breaking Bad. He was Kristen Ritter's father.
Oh,
did you see Breaking Bad?
I have seen I've not seen all of it, but I've seen a fair amount of it.
Did you see the season where Jesse had like the junkie girlfriend?
No, I shouldn't even say I saw a fair amount of it. I saw the whole first season, and I saw like a couple episodes into the second. We've talked about this before. I stopped at the one where the pregnant woman was smoking. I
know. Dude, like the thing about Breaking Bad is that like none of the characters are like wonderful and amazingly likable.
I didn't stop because of that. That just happens to be what I remember in terms of when I stopped. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I guess he is right. See, he said Star Trek reunion. And I was like, but did that movie come out before or after Star Trek? And Star Trek The Next Generation started in 1987, and that movie came out in 1990.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, not that I was doubting you, Leo, but I was doubting you. All right.
The series was still on at that point.
Right. So they must have did it on their summer break.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, let's be in this awesome." I mean, Jim Belushi's the next John Belushi, right?
I mean, right? No.
Why do you think everybody loved Blues Brothers 2000?
Everybody loves Belushi. That was a sitcom, right?
No, that was Raymond.
Oh, okay. But there was like an Everybody Loves Belushi sitcom, wasn't there?
And there was nothing ever like that.
All right. Second, writes Leo. Second, Chris's premise about a mashup movie 2 episodes back got me thinking about what movie universe I would smash together.
You're gonna mash it up?
He's gonna mash it up. Thank you, Leo. I'm glad somebody took me up on this and went for it. Somebody else. I mean, Steve gave us the 80s.
I did that right off the like off the cuff.
Yeah.
Leo had a chance to write this.
Yeah. Okay. So and Leo writes, I think I have settled upon a Coen Brothers mashup movie. I like where this is going. Do you like where this is going, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Coen vehicles.
Brothers Coen.
Yeah, I do like their vehicles often.
Okay. Here is my pitch.
Right? Although there's an occasional Dudski in there.
What would you call a Coen Dudski?
I don't know. I've only seen Barton Fink once.
Okay.
And
what about that one with Josh Brolin? Was that one? It was recent. Was that one good?
I don't know. I don't think I saw it.
Okay.
They had one that came out recently as well that I completely missed too.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Coen Brothers movies is they're often like critically acclaimed, or like there's a lot of like buzz and people that enjoy film, but they don't usually have an incredibly wide theatrical release. Like one of my favorites is Lebowski.
Yeah.
I don't think it made it more than 1 or 2 weeks in the regular theater. I had to see it at the $2 theater.
Yeah.
Up in Nashua back when that was still a thing that was open. Now it's a bank.
Oh, is it?
Right next to an IHOP. Or it's a Quiznos. I don't even know what the fuck it is.
Oh.
It used to be an IHOP.
Yeah.
And I remember
Sad.
Dan used to read in like the entire menu like description for each item that he wanted to order. he would I think he would intentionally pick things that had the word slathered in there.
And he would say that to the wait
yes.
to the wait person?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a woman, typically.
Okay. Oh, that Dan. All right, so Leo writes, I think I have settled upon a Coen Brothers mashup movie. Here's my pitch. Following the events of The Big Lebowski, the Dude and Walter are charged with the task of notifying Donnie's next of kin about his death. They find out that his only surviving relative is a shady identical twin who is living in Minnesota named Carl, before he meets the business end of a wood chipper in Fargo.
You want to take care of this right here in Brainerd?
Carl introduces the Dude and Walter to his partner in crime, Greer, the big guy from Fargo. They get caught up in a get-rich-quick scheme that involves stealing a sealed briefcase from a local gangster. The gangster, understandably perturbed, calls out the captive, bolt-wielding Anton from No Country for Old Men to exact revenge. Debauchery, double-crossing ensue, and random spectators have their fates decided on coin tosses. Finally, the whole movie comes down to a scene on a cliff by the ocean, same one they scattered Donnie's ashes on in Lebowski, with all parties trying to pull the briefcase away from the others. Finally, the briefcase opens to reveal the object they have been after the whole time.
Which was Marcellus Wallace's soul.
No, Steve, it was the original recording of The Man of Constant Sorrow from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? They all watch helplessly as the recording tumbles into the ocean, never to be heard again, and fade to black. Right, Leo writes, I think this needs a screenplay. Chris, I'm looking at you. Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah.
I think if it were not running all over their copyrights and not being fair use, I would do it in a heartbeat. That sounds like a pretty damn good screenplay.
Well, I mean, you could write it and then send it to them, and then they could say this is never getting made, and then that's the end of it.
But what's the point if it's
I mean,
never
people
getting
write
made?
fan fiction all the time.
People, writers, quote unquote, write fan fiction. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being an asshole. Lots of my students love writing fan fiction, or they got started in writing by writing fan fiction. I think that's really interesting. Not to get away from Leo's email, but a lot of fan fiction gets a lot of flack, I think, in the more serious writing community. But there was this book that I had on my shelf for a little while that I never read, but I think about often, which was all about how artists in the olden days learned by copying other artists. And then that fell out of fashion because everyone wants to be original and everyone wants to just, not have any influences and all that shit.
Well, the trick is, like, nowadays, it's impossible to not have any influences.
Right.
Because, like,
it's always been impossible to have any influence or not have any influence.
Well, that and like, the more time passes, the more art or the more, like, film, the more, like, novels, the more whatever, like, happen. And you can't go and live in this world and not experience some of those things, if not a lot of them, especially if you're really interested in one of those mediums. So it's impossible. It's even more impossible to not have, like, a crazy amount of, like, ideas in your head that are sort of swirling around in there that could be an amalgam of, like, a bunch of somebody else's ideas.
Right. I mean, the thing that I try to tell the students is that yes, all the stories that exist have already been told, but they haven't been told by you. You are the deciding factor here, right?
Tell the Star Wars story.
Tell the Star Wars story the way that you would tell it. Tell the Coen Brothers story the way that you would tell it, Shit like that. And that's what fan fiction teaches them to do. And so actually, I think we should be happy that these goddamn zillennials,
post-millennial,
they just got to write their fan fiction. They got to have Shaggy fucking Scooby.
Of all the things.
It was the first thing that came to my head. I'm sorry.
Why is he fucking the dog? Why can't the dog fuck him?
because I think the dog might kill him. I mean, Shaggy is a slight svelte. He's a thin dude.
He's a tall, thin dude.
He's a tall, thin dude. He looks like he's not particularly well put together. I think if you had him bend over for a Great Dane, I think the Great Dane would fuck him bloody. I think it would not go well.
This got really fucking dark.
You asked me.
I didn't say.
Why couldn't it be the dog fucking him? I'm telling you, because then it gets really dark. I think
you put a couple oven mitts on the dog.
You put an oven mitt on the dog's cock?
No, on his fucking paws so he doesn't dig in.
No, but I don't think that's the problem. I think the dog has a really long lipstick, and if that goes into Shaggy's...
I imagine a larger dog like a Great Dane would have a larger penis than like maybe like a fucking pug.
Yeah.
But... I don't think it's that much larger that it would be larger than a human dick.
Okay. All right. Well, dogs are... No, it's cats that have, like, the barbed wire cocks, right?
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to get fucked by a cat.
You wouldn't want to get fucked by a cat.
You don't come here to hunt, do you?
Do I have to drink for that? I don't know.
That was a fucking, like... that was the punchline to a joke that I told you before.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the rest of it.
You're going to have to listen to all the episodes again.
191 episodes before this.
Figure out which episode I told that joke.
Figure it out.
But yeah, so I didn't win.
You didn't win. Would you go see that movie that Leo is suggesting?
Sure.
You would? Steve, that sounds disingenuous. I mean, not disingenuous. That sounds like you're being facetious. Like you don't mean it.
I mean, like any sort of mashup of worlds, it sort of like breaks the realm of all of them and makes them all kind of like, oh no.
So you don't like...
So I don't like even the things that I was saying.
Okay.
So like the whole premise I think is faulty.
Okay. So you don't even like... so you don't like the Avengers then? You think though that sort of thing?
No, because that is all things that are based on things that actually happened in the comics.
Okay, all right.
And not like something that, because like we were mixing up movies.
We were mixing up Ghostbusters and Pee-wee and.
I mean, if you watch Fargo the series, there are like nods to other Coen brothers. Yeah. Because like I think they're producers, but they're not directing, and I don't think they wrote it, but I think they were sort of supervising the production and producing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they're like, I think there's one or two episodes, or there's an episode where they're at a place and there's like a big sign up, White Russians for like however many, like a drink special, and I'm like, you could see little nods like that in that series, which those are the kind of things that I like. But if like you're actually going to have the dude and Walter just hanging out in Fargo, and then all of a sudden crazy other shit happens, I'm like, it's funny. It's an amusing concept, but I would I'd see the movie and I'd kind of just be kind of perturbed the entire way through.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like I'd see the Pee-wee Ghostbusters to the future, and I'd be annoyed as well.
Yeah.
Because all three of those movies are great, but mush them together and they're probably not great.
I'm guessing you have no desire to go see Ready Player One then.
I just watched the Half in the Bag for it, and they asked a question, and I think it's like, if I go to see it, then maybe I can figure this out. But they're not sure who who that movie is for.
Right. That's fair.
The references and the nostalgia of it are all like 1980s stuff, which would be something for our generation, I suppose.
Right.
But
the movie itself feels like it's for kids.
It's for like a teenager or something like that.
Yeah.
And how much do I doubt a bunch of teenagers listen to this podcast, but if they do, is 80s nostalgia something that they're interested in?
I don't think actively. I mean, I think they like a lot of music that calls back to the 80s. And my kids do it.
Because there's a lot of stuff that like Stranger Things and like a lot of media at this time is sort of hearkening back. Yeah. And it's weird that they're doing like the 80s again, because I remember they seem to already have like in like the early part of the aughts.
Yeah, there was some 80s. Yeah, I mean,
Usually it's like it's a 20-year cycle.
It's because the 90s were so fucking boring that they're just like, you know what? We're just gonna keep going back to the 80s.
We just need to
get another decade that's worth canonizing.
We need to watch I Love the 80s and 90 and I Love the 90s again, and then figure out
what our well, I mean, there's that show on Netflix.
Everything Sucks.
Yeah.
Which is like around the time where I was a senior in high school. So it started off a little bit too like, here's me drinking Surge and blah blah blah. Yeah. But it eventually like
we never followed up on that because you did end up watching the rest of it.
Yeah, we watched all of it, and it got better after that initial like.
Yeah.
Hey, we're in the 90s.
Hey, here's slap bracelets.
No, they didn't have that.
Oh, okay. Well, can't win them all.
But everybody knows that the terrible drama.
Everybody knows.
The drama.
Everybody knows.
I'm just gonna let you do it.
Sorry, finish, and then I can get us the hell out of here.
Good. The drama kid bullies, everybody knows that that's a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The drama kids at our school were so we're kicking my ass all the time.
Were they?
You can find the show notes for this episode at clarkwoods.com/hot/192. I don't want to talk about it, Steve. They were so mean to me.
Bad memories.
No. The drama kids were like the first group outside of my brother's friends to actually embrace me. So the drama kids, all you guys were like cool to me, or generally cool to me.
I mean, how could I not be? You gave me rights.
And then finally, like my senior year of high school, I like met all the drama people, and they were nice to me.
Oh, isn't that just great?
Yeah. So I could not say that the drama bullies were a thing.
I never had a distinct clique. I mean, I did the
I didn't either.
I did the TV stuff the last like senior year, but like other than that, like I didn't have like a nerd crew aside from my group of friends.
Right.
I mean, we had the New Sweethearts, which was an amazing band, an amazingly
rest in peace.
Amazingly shitty band.
All right, let's finish the plugs. The hot, clarkwoods.com. No, clarkwoods.com/hot/192, right?
Which is where the episode is residing.
That's where the episode resides. There probably aren't any show notes, but you can go there anyway, just in case. Or I'm so fucked up now.
Hot at clarkwoods.com. You can email us.
Yeah, or you can tweet us. I'm at ECC1977.
And I'm at Tuesday is Loser. That's Tuesday IS Loser, all one word.
So when's the next time you only need one ball?
Sometime in May.